First of all, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for your time. And I love talking to you about the many things that you do, producing and authoring, and it's a joy for me to catch up with you.
Always nice to see you too, Tony. I'm glad you're so well and your family as well.
Yeah, I just had a total hip replacement, so I'm up and around and walking already, and
Wow.
yeah,
Isn't it amazing? Science is so fantastic what we're able to do. So I'm
it,
glad you're back up on your feet.
it is. I'll be running in no time, but yeah, and you know, I have to say this to you when I get up in the morning and I see your little tweets and messages. It just gladdens my heart to see the ocean and know you're
Uh-huh.
out there.
Oh, well, I mean, I love social media. I know there's a lot of people who've been knocking it, and I know there's a lot of awful things that can happen out there, but I'm committed to using mine to be positive, to try to add something of value each day, something uplifting, something encouraging. And I really do enjoy it.
Well, speaking of positive, uplifting, and encouraging, talk to me a little bit about the new book. Is it out there already on bookshelves? A Message in the Moon?
A Message in the Moon, yeah, it officially releases on the 10th, so it's available now. And yeah, it's so exciting, when you're working on a project and you finally bring it to life. This has been on my heart for many years, this story, because it was based on a true story of my father taking me outside before I left Ireland for England and college. And I was anxious about separating from him. And this was long before we had cell phones or the ease with which we are now able to communicate with each other. And he very simply pointed to the moon and said, look at that moon in the sky. It's the same moon that will be shining on you that's shining on me. And if you ever miss me or feel homesick or lonesome, why don't you leave a message at the moon and I'll pick it up. And so we kind of use the moon as a communicator, and I took that as the essence of this children's story, because I know that little kids sometimes have anxiety about separation, going away for a sleepover, going off to camp, all the different ways that children might feel a little bit separated from mom or dad. And I've tied in the story to use the moon as a way to tell you I love you. And many people say I love you to the moon and back. So this gives a little story to support that. I have the book here, Tony, to show you.
There it
It's
is.
it's gorgeous. Listen, a children's book wouldn't be what it is without illustration.
Yeah.
And I have to give a shout out to the fantastic Holly Haddam, who did these beautiful drawings, who shared my vision for the book and came alongside me to collaborate and come up with these lovely
Yeah, I was
characters.
I was going to comment on the illustrations as well. It is beautifully illustrated. It reminds me of The Little Prince,
Mhm.
in how pure the illustrations are.
Yeah, I agree. It has a kind of a whimsy in that way, and it's very charming. And when my kids were growing up, particularly my daughter Riley, I had to travel a little bit with work. I was always a working mom. And I would take a snapshot on my phone of the moon and I would send it to her, and I'd say, I've left you a message, and to this day, we still do that. In the past month, we've had that super moon that came up, and there were lots of pictures of the moon flying back and forth in our family. But to us, it always means an I love you. And in the book, in a child appropriate way, I mention the moon. Of course, we know has no light source. The moon is simply a reflection of the sun.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that maybe if we're all sending love to the moon, that the moon would do what she does best, that she would reflect the love back to us, and that the love, would be connecting and remind us all that we belong to each other.
We, after reading the book and all that too, you touch on some very adult things as well that I think adults who are reading this to their children will pick up and start maybe a joyful little tear because you remember people that you've lost in your life and how
Yes.
often did they look up at the moon and at the same time I looked up at the moon, and it brings that connection back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my father passed away when I was in university, and I was almost nervous to see the moon that first cycle after he passed, but I needn't have been, because I picked up his message, and I continue to pick up his messages from the moon, you know. And I think, you know, for people of faith too, you know, that there's something about the constancy of the moon, that whether we can see it or not, the moon is always there. Whether we can feel it or not, the moon is always there. On a day sky, the moon is there. On a cloudy sky, the moon is there. And a little bit like, you know, our loving God, that whether we feel connected to spirit on any given day, the spirit is always with us, you know. So I try to weave some of those themes too, but I really encourage, you know, I think we live in the digital age, and maybe more people are getting their content on their phones or iPads.
Yeah.
But I'm an old-fashioned girl at heart, and I really do love the touch and the feel of a book, and to be able to turn the pages. And one of my favorite pastimes with my daughter, favorite memories, was lying on top of the covers of her bed at night and reading to her. And I just encourage mums and dads and caretakers, grandparents, you know, to not lose that tradition. There's something lovely lying down with your children at the evening.
Yeah,
And reading
grandchildren.
a story, and your grandchildren, yeah, in reading a story that's comforting. And you know, this is about sending them off to sleep, feeling safe, feeling protected, feeling connected. And the book has a little prayer at the end of it, also to encourage maybe a little nighttime praying with your wee ones. But you know, I've got a million other things going on. This is not the only project that I've been working on, but
The
it's a
busiest, you're
little
the
passion
busiest lady in Hollywood.
Well, listen, it's been a slow season for all of us. We're prayerfully, hopefully getting to the end of the actor strike.
Yeah.
You know, for many months, our writers were on strike. And so as a producer, development all just came to a stop, you know, as we wait for resolution, hopefully good resolution now for our actors union, that everybody can get back to work. Production's been held up, so I was glad really to have this project, which I'd been meaning to do, in my back pocket at this time when other things are a little bit slower.
One of the things I love about your writing is that you connect with so many different types of people. I mean, from Box of Butterflies to Be an Angel, Unexpected Blessings. They're for everyone, and not just, you know, you don't single out anybody. I mean, they bring you to back to life, I think, if I can use that. They bring you into a joy, and A Message in the Moon does the same thing.
Well, I think that you know, when you speak of universal themes, such as love and encouragement and connectivity and comfort, you know, this is a story of comfort, which I really think bedtime stories should be, right? Yeah. You don't want to send your child to sleep with visions of goblins and witches and scary things in their little minds, you know. I think you want them to go to sleep feeling kind of just wrapped in love. And if we think of the moonlight being love light, and we send them to sleep with those feelings, and reminding each of us that even if your loved one isn't near, you know, if your best friend does move away, or your grandmother lives across the country, that we're just, you know, look at the moon. We're not that far apart. The world is a small place, and we can remember that we're all connected to each other.
Do you enjoy the writing process?
I do. I love writing. I mean, it goes through a million drafts, you know, and I've learned not to be judgmental of draft one, because I think fear is the thing that stops most people from doing anything, you know. And if you really wanted it all to be lined up and perfect from the minute you start, you know, most of us wouldn't start. So you got to allow yourself the luxury of, you know, of getting it wrong, and just keep pushing through it. But I enjoy the process very much. And as I say, this story really inspired by my father, Paddy Downey, and I was glad to be able to dedicate the book to him, my book Box of Butterflies, which you referenced a little earlier, of course, was inspired by my mother. My mother, the significance, my mother who passed when I was just 10, always seemed to show up in my life as a symbol of a butterfly. And you can see here in Message in the Moon, I worked with Holly to try to come up with a way that we could illustrate the love message. What would the love look like if you had to draw it? And of course, the love ended up being a butterfly, and this book too. So there's circles within circles, but it was a way for me to honor both my mother and my father.
Well, congratulations on this.
A long time. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're so supportive, and I appreciate appreciate you always being there to help me spread the word, because it's just a small project. I don't have a big marketing budget on it. So anybody that likes the book, I'd appreciate them, sharing it. Hashtag A Message in the Moon. Right. And let's let people know it's out there.
And there's an audio version too, with you reading it. Which is amazing. I heard a little excerpt of it. You do so well.
Yeah. It's very sweet. But I really would encourage the book in hand, lie next to your little one, and read them to sleep.
A nice Christmas gift, nice birthday gift, nice anytime gift. Yeah. Always read to your kids. I believe in that thoroughly. Before I let you go, I wanted to congratulate you on A Wing and a Prayer. What a great film that was. And it did very, very well on Prime.
It did very well on Prime. I think it continues to be one of the top rated movies on Prime this year. I think the Easter slot they gave us was very helpful too. It was a story of hope, a story of survival, and Dennis Quaid did such a great job for us. So I've been loving my partnership with Amazon, and hope to continue to make many more movies over there.
We all know you from Touched, and do you miss your Utah people out here?
Of course I do. I love, I still come up to the mountains regularly. As you know, last time I was up there, we had a cup of tea together. I do. I love Utah. It's such a beautiful state. And I missed all my old Touched by an Angel crew. It was such, a great show. And, I still have people reach out to me, people who discovered it during COVID, watching it on reruns, binging it. And maybe apart from my ever-changing hairdos, it holds up. I don't know what I was thinking. I was every color, I think when you're in a long-running series, you just get a bit bored with your look, and you end up, I have bangs, no bangs. But we loved working on it. We loved the message of the show.
And every time we talk, I always bring up something about you, but your turn as Jackie Onassis in A Woman Named Jackie was brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, that's now streaming on Amazon Prime. So if you missed that the first go around, you can go back and see that. It really, even if you just wanted to watch it for the wardrobe, the costumes, the period, that period of time was amazing. And Jackie, of course, was an incredible lady, but also a fantastic fashion icon. So I got to wear some amazing period costumes during that shoot.
Roma, again, it is always a pleasure to chat with you. You are one of my dearest friends, and I just adore you.
Likewise. Peace and blessings on your life, and well done getting back on your feet.
Oh, thank you, darling, and we'll talk again.
Okay. Lots of love. Bye.